Memorizing information in half the time relies on a specific biological signal. While most people approach learning as a marathon of rote repetition, the brain is actually designed to filter out the vast majority of our daily experiences. As a survival mechanism, the brain actively discards any data it deems unnecessary for future use, preventing a sensory and cognitive overload. Retention only occurs when the brain applies a specific neurochemical stamp to a synapse. Looking at this neural pathway, we can see a biological molecule, adrenaline, physically attaching to a localized piece of data. This presence of adrenaline dictates a memory's fate. Without the stamp, data nodes quickly dissolve. With it, the brain solidifies information into a permanent structure. Optimizing these neurochemical signals ensures that the time spent studying actually translates into permanent recall, turning a passive observation into a deliberate biological hack. The protocol begins with a state of high focus. Your actual learning session must take place in a completely calm, quiet environment to ensure the data is encoded clearly. The critical window for the adrenaline spike is narrow. You must trigger the surge within 5 to 15 minutes after you finish studying, as spiking your adrenaline before the session will likely scatter your focus. You can achieve this spike through a quick blast of ice water exposure or a short burst of intense physical activity, shocks that force the brain to flag the preceding events as vital for survival. This chart tracks memory retention against the duration of stress. Note the sharp upward peak associated with brief, acute stress. As the timeline extends into chronic, long-term stress, the line plunges. Sustained cortisol levels actively destroy memory capacity and weaken the immune system. Beyond neurochemistry, you can utilize specific software hacks for visual data, such as the snapshot technique. By focusing intensely on a scene and blinking your eyes like a camera shutter, you create a deliberate physical anchor that encodes visual data far more effectively than passive looking. These behavioral hacks are powerful, but they rely entirely on the structural integrity of the brain's physical architecture. Maintaining that architecture requires hitting a specific threshold of 180 to 200 minutes of Zone 2 cardiovascular training every week. During this level of movement, your bones release a specialized hormone called osteocalcin. As shown here, the hormone releases from the porous marrow of the skeletal system and flows rapidly into the bloodstream. Once it reaches the hippocampus, osteocalcin begins building and repairing the neural connections required for high-capacity memory storage. Complementing this physical movement is a mental protocol, 13 minutes of daily mindfulness meditation. After 8 weeks of this practice, studies show measurable enhancements in attention and emotional regulation, providing the stability needed for the adrenaline protocol to work. Treating the body and mind as connected hardware provides the biological infrastructure necessary to sustain high-speed memory encoding. When this hardware is highly optimized, the speed of neural firing can occasionally lead to strange cognitive phenomena. The eerie sensation of déjà vu is a primary example. Mechanistically, it is a brief glitch within the hippocampus. In this neural network, we can see nodes associated with a past event accidentally activating simultaneously, rather than in sequence when you enter a new environment. This simultaneous activation triggers the false feeling of familiarity before the circuit resets to its organized sequential pulse. Memory is an active, hackable biological system. Through the precise timing of adrenaline and the maintenance of neural hardware, you can move your cognitive potential beyond its default limits.